want to say welcome to Listing 103 Advanced Listing Concepts. Over the last couple of weeks, we've talked about and we have practiced in our conversation mastery how to do an effective listing campaign. How to, when you knock on the door, to the moment you meet the person, to going in, where to go in the house, what to say in the house, how to do the tour, how to make sure you get every decision maker on the trip, and all the way through using the REAL system. If you missed our classes in the last 2 weeks, if you were not here for conversation mastery, I highly recommend that you get here this week and next week, because these skills are not something, I mean, yes, I've given you scripts, and for anybody that's watching on YouTube, if you would like to have a copy of these scripts, I'm happy to share them, but you can't learn these scripts just by reading them. These are an action. Consider yourself an actor, right? When you have a listing conversation, when you learn what you're going to say in these listing conversations, you are going to sit with a person, right? And you're going to discuss with them about selling their house. But as much of it is the verbal, the REAL that we talked about, right? Which is rapport, engage, advise, with the 3 parts of advise, which are advise them about yourself and your company, advise them about your marketing plan, which should be the longest part of your whole conversation, and then advise them on the correct price. And then, of course, the L is for list. All those things are important, but there are physical things that go with this. If you guys are television fans, I'll go back a couple of the most famous physical comedy actors. Dick Van Dyke was a great physical comedy actor. Michael Richards in Seinfeld, the physical comedy was great. Well, I'm not asking you to be a physical comic, but there are physical parts to doing this that are so important, and that's why I stress be here. 9 o'clock in the morning. Monday, Tuesday, we've been going through these, and we'll be going through these this week and next week. So let's get started. We've gone through the basics. You guys should have the basics. So let's get a little more advanced. Remember that when you are talking to anyone, right? We're talking about sellers today and having these things. When you're talking to absolutely anyone, if you have a hard time communicating with a seller, you're going to have a hard time getting a listing. If you're not getting through, and this is one of the things that we talked about, we call this a listing conversation, not a listing presentation. Why is that? It's a listing conversation because it needs to be 2 ways. There has to be communication going side by side. You will not get a listing if you're not communicating well with your seller. Effective communication is the key to closing a listing conversation. It's as simple as that. Why are listings so important? I want to review this. We talked about this a little bit before, but this is something that's so important. If you study, when I got into this business, when I decided I was getting into this business, one of the things I did was I studied the top 10% of realtors. Now, I'm going back now 10, 12 years. So what I was looking for is a little different than it is today. Back then, people that were considered successful in real estate were making $100,000 a year. $100,000 a year isn't today what it was in 2012, 2014. But when I was looking at these people that were making $100, $200 million a year in real estate, I found that there were 6 personality traits and 11 behavioral traits that these people all shared. And that there was a control group done. There was a study done, and there was a control group of people that one group had these 6 and 11 they studied, and the others didn't. And they found that those that did all had these things, and the others were missing 1 or more of them. The other thing, though, is I studied, what do they do? What does a successful realtor do every day? And we went through their schedules. And of course, if you take my Prospecting for Success series, I'll teach this entire thing. But one of the things that is important for this conversation is that we learned that top 10% agents, doesn't matter where they are, anywhere in the country, or even North America, Canada is the same thing, make 75% of their revenue from listings. 75%. Oh, I've got 4 buyers right now. Do you have any listings? No. Guess what? You're in trouble. Well, what do you mean? Buyers, guys, are fickle. Buyers come and go. The person that has steady income always has an inventory of listings. Like we taught this all in Prospecting for Success, just reviewing. So it's so important that you do at least 75% of your business from listings. And one of the things you need to do from that is, of course, make sure your conversation is so good that you're going to close 19 out of 20, 24 out of 25, 99 out of 100 of these conversations. When you start having listings, you will have less stress and more fun because you're going to start focusing on your inventory. Not saying, oh, I have to drive 45 minutes to go show one house that the person shows up, looks outside and says, nope, we don't like it. And then you have to drive 45 minutes home. By the time that's over, what did you do? You just blew 2 hours, right? Buyers are stressful. They're going to eat your time. Oh, if you're going to be in real estate, there goes your weekends. Absolutely not, guys. If you work with buyers, yes, your nights and your weekends. When you work with sellers, you set appointments. Now, yeah, might you have a Saturday morning appointment? You might. But let me explain the difference. A listing conversation usually is anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour tops, okay? And that's it. How long do you go out with a buyer? 3 hours? 4 hours? I spent days with buyers. Not following my own advice here, which is, it's friends, so I don't mind. But the point is that you can lose an entire day with buyers. Here, you might lose an hour of your day, hour and a half of your day. Much better, much more control of your life, much more enjoyable. Remember that listings put you in control of your career. He who has listings controls the marketplace. Oh, it's such a slow market right now. Guys, we just went through this. We're for those of you that watch this years from now, we're doing this in 2025. When we're in 2020, you put a listing up, it was sold by dark. Well, now we have listings that sit up there. But here's the thing. When you have multiple listings, you may not have any buyers, and a lot of agents may not have any buyers, but there's always an agent with a buyer. And guess where they bring those buyers? To your listing. So instead of you fighting with 18 other agents to try to get one buyer, you have the listing. Let those few that do have buyers bring them to you. When you have listings, you control the marketplace. Listings provide immunity. If you get to the point of having a large inventory, which is where you need to be, you're going to get sales regardless of what's going on, regardless of the economy. I have several listings right now. I have one that just went under contract. It took me, 3 weeks. We're in a very, very, very market that's very, very much for the buyers. I mean, the buyers right now can write their ticket. I have other listings that just aren't going anywhere. My team, we have listings that are sitting there. But the fact is we have enough of them, right? I have enough of them that there's at least some going under contract, even in a tough economy with high interest rates, with inflation uncertainty, with all those other things. So having a large inventory provides immunity even in the worst of times. Back when the market crashed in 2009, 2010, nobody made any money, no houses sold in real estate. That's not true. Plenty of houses sold, just nowhere's near to the extent of what they were selling in 2006 or what we saw in 2020 or 2020, 2021. It slowed down. Guess what? The top realtors that had inventory, they were the ones that are still in the business. They're the ones now that are going to still be in the business when we get back to another type of market. So build your inventory. It's so important. Seller categories. So I teach you this with buyers too in the upcoming buyer classes, which are coming in a couple of weeks. But it's important to categorize every seller that you ever talk to. You have an A seller, a B, a C, and a D. Okay. When we talk about buyers, there's only three. We tell you when we talk about buyers that you should only work with A buyers, but I'm getting ahead of myself again. We'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. But what's an A seller? An A seller wants to use your company before the conversation begins. I had a gentleman that had a house down the street from where I live, called me because he found me on my website. He saw the Century 21 name. He was a retired realtor. He'd done real estate in Virginia and had been retired for quite some time. He knew he wanted to use Century 21. He knew he wanted to use me because he had seen my social media site, especially in the town that I live, saw how many followers I have, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of times, though, these people will be past customers, a referral. Your friend referred someone, your family referred someone. So when you meet with this person, the key is when you get with them, you already have a pretty good feeling that they're going to use you. You have an almost certain feeling knowing they're going to use you. Focus on building rapport. A B seller is committed to selling. We know this person is going to sell and they're going to use a realtor, right? And of course, the first one we knew they were going to use a realtor too. We knew they were going to sell. They wanted to use your company and they wanted to use you. Here we got somebody who's committed to selling. They're committed to using a realtor, but they don't know which agent or which company they're going to go with. When you talk to with this person, again, we're talking about that REAL that we went over the last couple of weeks. When you're going through that A, where the first part of A is what? Talking about yourself and your company. And then the second part is a marketing plan. So that's where we're talking about. That's the meat of this conversation we're talking about here. I want you to really showcase your company. What do you and your company do better that other people don't? One of the things I tell people, and is something that's a differentiator. I have 160,000 followers on social media. I have followers from all 50 states that follow my real estate pages and groups on social media. Most realtors, even the top ones in your area, in my area for sure, maybe they have 1,000 followers. I have 160,000. What does that do? It makes me different. It makes me better. What we talked about last week in feature, explain, advantage. I don't just say I have 160,000 followers. I go through and explain. These are the networks I have them on. I can market to these people at will. My competitors at most of them have a couple hundred, if that. The best ones maybe have 1,000, 1,500. And the advantage is I'm going to have people from all 50 states and from countries around the world, 160,000 of them, that are going to repetitively see that your property is listed. Feature, explain, advantage, like we talked about last week. So it's important that you focus on that. For those of you that work for a name brand company, Century 21, for example, largest real estate company in the world, 94% of people out in the United States recognize Century 21 as a real estate company. Guess what? The second company is 82, third company is 863, and everybody else is under 50%. I'm not going to use this as a recruiting call, but if you work for a company that's, a no-name company, you already start with two strikes because people are like, who is this? They, unless you have a huge name already. So focus again on your company and what you and your company do better than anybody else. A C seller. C seller is committed to selling, but they may want to sell it on their own. This could be a potential for sale by owner. They may consider using you. They may have invited to speak with you to steal your marketing ideas to try to sell it on their own. So usually this person, just like a FSBO, wants to save on commission. Maybe they had a bad experience with an agent. And here you would need to focus the brunt of your focus should be on the value a realtor brings to the table. We sell their home faster. We sell it for more money. We see them through to closing. This is what most people are going to do. FSBO don't understand. They think they're going to go into work, put it on the bulletin board, their house is for sale, Get out of the hardware store, get down to the grocery store, put little bulletins around, put a Facebook Marketplace ad up or a Craigslist ad, and they're going to find a buyer. Oh, found a buyer. We're good. We shook hands. We're not just a dating service, guys. Yeah, they would say realtors are a dating service, right? We find a buyer and a seller and marry them up, right? But what's the hardest part for anybody that's been in this business? Contract to close. They don't even understand it. They don't know what they don't know. So explaining contract to close is a huge part of this. So all the different things that bring value as a realtor, that's what you want to do with a C. A D seller, D for disaster, D for, I can't think of a word for running away. It starts with D, but doesn't matter. D, disaster. The seller's more committed to the price than they are to moving. Okay. I want $450,000 for my house. The comps say your house is worth $375,000. Oh, well, that's what I want. Okay. Well, I'm sure you want to sell your 1972 Pinto for $20,000, but it's worth $50. And that's what I always say. I always do and I always say use analogies. Use analogies. Something the great Darrell Davis teaches. I always say, if you took your car to trade it in and you took it to a car dealership, how are they going to value your car? And they'll say, well, the NADA or Kelley Blue Book. And that's right. And yeah, they might be trying to screw you a little bit. Of course, we're not. If they try to say that to you, we're not. We want to get the highest amount because we make more money when they sell for more. But anyway, what you want to say to them is we as realtors are the ones with our comps. That's the Kelley Blue Book. And I understand you need $450,000 to make all of your goals come to play. And I'd love to sell your house for $450,000, but the Kelley Blue Book value of your house is $375,000. And that conversation, although can be hard, and it can sometimes make it where they won't list with you. And guess what? Sometimes they'll go list with another agent because the agent down the street just wants to have a listing. Guys, you're better off letting them go to the other realtor. This is the 24, 25 when you go to this conversation. And again, the sooner you can flush out if they're a D seller, don't walk, run. Refer them. I would say to them, I have a friend in New Jersey. She used to teach this. She'd tell them, she'd say, listen, honey, your house just isn't worth that. If you want to go list with another agent, that's fine. But when you're serious about selling in 6 months, when you see nobody comes to your house, I'm here with open arms to do it and do it right and get your house sold for the most amount of money. And she says she's had people that have done that. They've gone because there are other agents out there. Now you can refer them. You can say, look, here's an agent that'll take any listing. I take pride that when I take a listing and price it, that I price it right and I get it sold. And that's a huge thing, guys. You don't want to be known as the realtor that only half your listings sell, right? Now, again, that number changes as the market changes. But there are agents out there that maybe only close or sell 2 or 3 out of 10 listings. The reason is they're taking $400,000 houses and trying to sell them for $500,000 because they let the tail wag the dog. They let the listing or the homeowner dictate what the listing should be priced at. You are the price expert. I have a training that you guys are going to take in objection handling success. It's Objection Handling Success 103 called the pricing conversation. That I'm going to teach you how to get the right price every time. I'm going to teach you what I call my proprietary pricing strategy, which I advertise, that I use. People ask what it is. If you go on my website, gulfpalmhomes.com, you can check out under that. I talk about how my pricing conversation works. I have a 5-minute video on it that I share all over social media. And again, it's also on my website. I want you to do that because taking a D seller is going to do nothing but give you headaches. They're going to be calling. Why didn't anybody come see my house? Because it's not priced right. Your marketing's no good. Where are you marketing? How much are you spending? Do you need that phone call every week or 2 weeks when you do your check-in calls, or worse, them calling you every day? Why is nobody coming to see my house? And then them bad-mouthing you all around everybody. Oh, my realtor didn't do anything. Yeah, they did, problem is they didn't follow through. They told you that the price of your house was wrong. Unfortunately, they allowed themselves to take your listing 50, 25, 50, $75,000 over what it should be. Guys, refer this person out, take 25% to somebody that doesn't care, or just say no. All right. Remember that you are not salespeople. You are coaches and advisors. Shouldn't be trying to push people into anything. I hate people, oh, you got to close. No, stop. Yes, you want to close. I get that, but you don't put pressure on somebody. They're making the biggest decision of their life. You coach and advise them in a way that shows the best thing that they can do is list the house with you. Okay. And if they tell you, I want to be moved by Thanksgiving, blah, 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 you can coach them of how to get that done. And of course, the best way to get that done is hiring you. If they tell you they want to move when they retire in 2027, guess what? Your best job is to coach them how to start to get ready for that process, but you're not going to list it now because it's too far off. We coach buyers and sellers to make decisions. They choose. We help coach them to the decision that's best for them. We need to ensure that our conversation is all about them and that their needs are put first. This isn't about us. Oh, I want to get, this could be my 5th listing. Yeah, that's a milestone for me. Then I can start getting to get 6 to 10 or whatever. No, forget about that. How can I help this person that's sitting in front of me? What can I do to help them reach their goals? What plan can I put in place? What marketing plan for their house? And if you think that way and put them first and put their needs first, you're going to get way more listings. You're going to have way more satisfied customers. You're going to way more enjoy your job, and you're going to be way more successful. So the first step, again, is to build rapport. Connect with that seller on a deep level. Be present in the conversation and truly connect with them. Like we talked about last week, the REAL. All right, I'm building rapport now. All right, I got to get to engage, right? No. Stop thinking ahead. Listen to them. Have an active conversation where you're speaking, they're speaking, you're listening, they're listening. Being present means being more in tune with what they say than worrying about what you will say next. Oh, I got to get to the E, then I got to get to the 3 A's, and my A's have the 3 parts. Yeah, you need to know those things, but you should know them so deep down that you let the conversation flow where it goes and know that you're going to drive it to those next spots. Hear what that person is saying, and sometimes hear what they're not saying. Sometimes they're going to say things without saying things. And that's by being in tune with them. Your dialogue should be based on who they are and what they need to hear. You only learn this by being present and actively listening. They may have a specific need, or they may have a specific concern. If you're not paying attention and just trying to stay on your old sales pitch, guess what? You're going to miss that. And at the end, you're either going to get hit with an objection that maybe you can overcome, but maybe you get stuck with, or you're going to have somebody that's so disengaged that you're just not going to get the deal. So remember, have a conversation. This is not a sales pitch. Step 2, in the engage section, what do we want to know? What do we want to know in every conversation that we have everywhere? What do we want to know? What that person is committed to. I'm standing in the grocery line and somebody says something, oh, you're a realtor, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Hey, where do you live now? Do you like living there? How long do you plan on living there? And they may say, I'm in a lease. I got 9 more months. Guess what I know? I know that in 9 months, they have a decision to make. So are you looking to renew that? So I asked the next question. Are you looking to renew that lease, or would you ever thought about being a first-time home buyer? Oh, blah, blah, blah. Well, now I know what they're committed to and when they're committed to it. Listings are the same thing. When do they want to move? Where do they want to move? Why do they want to move? This is what you're doing in that engage, in our REAL acronym. Connect with them even deeper by understanding what their goals and their dreams are. Guess what? If this is somebody you don't know, that when you went in, maybe it's somebody you called that's a FSBO, or maybe it's an expired listing, or you just don't have a rapport with them. If you can get them open up and talking about what their dreams are, what their goals are, guess what they want? Guess what they like? Guess what they do? They're going to like you. Remember, this person doesn't want a salesperson. They want somebody that cares about them and is going to take care of them. So focus on what they're committed to instead of what you want to get the listing. When you know their commitment, you can find a way to make everything else work out. Guys, I should highlight this. I should tattoo this on the wall. I don't know, paint it on the wall, whatever. When you know what a person that you're talking to, this isn't just listings. We're talking about listings today, but this is everyone. When you know what the person that's standing in front of you, sitting next to you, is on the phone with you, wherever you're having the conversation with them, when you know what their commitment is, you can find a way to make everything else work out because you're working towards a common goal, which is getting them to where they want to be. Coach them, right? Advise them as the A part of our REAL, rapport, engage, advise, list. Remember, advise again has 3 parts. Advise them about yourself and your company, number 1. Number 2, advise them about your marketing plan. That should take 20, 25 minutes using the feature explain advantage. If you have not taken our previous courses, we explain these things and they are in the handouts of how to use feature explain advantage. And then of course, advise them on the proper price to price their home. So now you're going to coach them. And you're going to say, based on what they're committed to, based on the fact that you want to move by Thanksgiving because you have people coming from all around the country and you want to have this big dining room, or you want to have this big lanai that you can do an outdoor feast with a pool and play some pool volleyball with your relatives from Minnesota and Florida on Thanksgiving because that's such a novel thing for them. Based on what you're committed to, and you go. Coach them with sound advice. To get you moved by November, it's now July. We should get your house on the market now. Sound advice, guys. 99% of the time, that advice is always to hire you as their realtor. Okay? Get started now and hire you. There may be a time where it doesn't make sense. Again, I'm meeting with somebody and they said, we really do just want this free market evaluation. We're talking about moving in June of 2027, when my wife or my husband retires from work. Guess what? I didn't lose a sale there. I didn't lose a client there. I didn't lose whatever. I just have a longer term situation, right? I have a longer term relationship that I need to build for that time. Now, what about the person I have the conversation with them and they say, well, really, I just want to die in this house. I'm wondering what it's worth for my kids. Now I could possibly try to build a relationship with their kids, but that might be somebody that, hiring me is probably not going to be on their plate, right? So just listen to them, find out what they're committed to, and understand that 99% of the time it's going to be to hire you as their realtor. Step 4, invite action. Listen to what I'm going to say and learn this. You always invite action that is consistent, right, with them reaching the goal of what they're committed to. I'll repeat that. You always invite action, okay, that is consistent with what will get them to where they're committed to. Invite them to list your home with you after you've built rapport, after you've coached them, and understand that listing with a realtor is the best choice for the situation. Coaching process. Some agents still use a listing conversation book. Back in, 2012, 2013, whatever it was, when I first got in this business and was getting ready to start training and teaching and everything like that, one of the things that I really wanted to teach was using your iPad. iPads were new back then, believe it or not, right? A couple years old. I had a first model one. I was very excited. Or second model, whatever. I had the first one with the camera. Anyway, I wanted to do the listing conversation book instead of having an old-fashioned binder like everybody used to have. Let's do it on the iPad. How high tech. I'll never forget, guy I bought my first real estate franchise from, Larry Vecchio, VRI Homes in New Jersey. If anybody needs a great real estate company in central New Jersey, Larry's incredible. Anyway, Bill, you can't do that. The second you open that up, you have turned into a salesperson making a presentation. You might as well be selling Amway. He was absolutely right. Think about it. If we're sitting here having a conversation and all of a sudden I pop my screen up, and just like I'm doing, obviously, because we have the PowerPoint, and pop something on the screen, what have I done? We stopped communicating and I started selling. I don't use a listing conversation book personally. A lot of agents do. What I would tell you, however, I gave you some things of when books were more prevalent 10, 15 years ago. But what I do is I have what's called my 4-step marketing plan, which goes through how I market a house. I have a couple sheets that I hand out and do very informally. I always make sure I have multiple copies so everybody gets their own copy of it, because you will have visual and auditory learners. What's the difference? An auditory learner, I see this when I teach in front of a big class. I'll see a group of people that are making eye contact with me the entire time. I'll see a group of people that are either watching my PowerPoint or reading the handouts that I gave them. What's the difference? Oh, well, those people that are reading the handouts, well, they're not paying attention to you. They're not paying attention to you. No, they're visual learners. They learn by seeing, not by hearing, right? Group over here, they're auditory learners. Guess what? There's a third group. I fall into the third group. This is why, and I am so passionate about trying to get every person I know involved. This is why we do conversation mastery and prospecting power hour, because I'm one of these learners. I learn by doing. I remember I was a kid sitting in math class and doing whatever, and I would turn off the second the teacher started showing us how to do a problem on the board. I would just turn around and ignore. Why? I didn't know why. 5th grade, 4th grade, whatever. I don't learn that way. When it came to now, here's some problems, that's when I'd start asking questions. Okay, what do I do next? What do I do? And I think I frustrated the heck out of, I remember it was 5th grade, frustrated the heck out of my teacher, who now I believe is the mayor of that town. But anyway, but she probably at that point, she was only 23, 24 years old, and back then they didn't teach learning styles and learning differences. We've got a bunch of teachers that work for us here. They understand that. So you may have somebody that learns by hearing, learns by seeing, or learns by doing. And that's why on the listing conversation, what you do as you go through this, and we'll teach that tomorrow morning and through the next week, will totally change. So if you do want to do a listing conversation book, find the things that are most important to you. I find the marketing plan, things that have numbers that are, that are concrete, conclusive numbers, because that sells people. Also, what I always have with me printed separately from my CMA, right? If I have a printed CMA, if I used RPR, if I used Moxie Present, whatever I used, separately I have, and I have them in there too, but I have a separate copy of the comps. Because again, I want to lay those comps out, not yet, but in front of the people, and have that there as a physical thing, again, for that auditory and visual learner. The auditory person will listen, but the visual person is going to pick them up and read them. But I want to have my marketing things and things that are going to show quantitatively and qualitatively how I sell properties. You can speak about yourself. I have a bio. And the other thing is I have a biography or I have a little pamphlet that I hand out before I even meet with them. It tells them about me, tells them about my marketing plan, goes through this, probably what I would call my listing conversation book. I gave that to you guys. I gave you one half of it in prospecting. I'll give you the other half of it when we get to buyers, so you can create these. Speak about your company. You should have a mission statement. Every realtor that's out there should have their own mission statement. Huge. Have it out there where the people can see it. This is going to differentiate you. What your market share is. If you don't have good market share, what are your office stats? The beautiful thing of our company is we did $2 billion in commission last year. We're the second largest in the world. So we can brag about that. Find the things you want to brag about. Like I say, section 3, your marketing system. Your process of how you sell a home, what makes you different. I use my proprietary marketing strategy piece in this. And then any additional support materials, your CMA. testimonials, objection handling visuals. When we get to objection handling, we'll talk more about those. If you have a net sheet and those types of things. Presenting the marketing plan. I said this to you before. We used FEA last time. This is the same thing. It's FBA. FEA is feature, explain, advantage. FBA, which we have a handout for you today for this, feature, benefit, acknowledgement, same thing. People want to use a laundry list. I beat this into agents' heads. And then when they come to digital or to conversation mastery, and when they come to prospect, all those types of things, what do they end up doing? They end up doing a laundry list. So my marketing plan, I put my house on the MLS. I get your house on Zillow. I put it on social media. I put it on, what? Stop. All you did was give me feature. I need you to tell me the benefit or explain, depending on your FEA or FBA. That's why I do teach both, because it teaches a little bit different way, and some people learn this differently. What's the benefit? What am I getting from you putting my property in the MLS? So I tell them, this goes worldwide. This is what puts out to about 3,000, 4,000 websites, including Zillow, Homes.com, Realtor.com, Do you understand how that's going to get more people to see your house? This is the acknowledgement part, right? Or the advantage part if you're using the other one. Do you understand that this is going, and make them acknowledge? Do you see how this is going to make more people see your house than if you try to sell this on your own? You see that using Century 21 Integra, because we're in 14 states, most of them cold weather states, are going to have our local agents out finding you a buyer. Do you see how that by using me and our company, how we're going to get more people to know that your house is for sale and get you an offer that's for more money and quicker because of that? That's feature, benefit, acknowledgement, or as we said in the last training, feature, explain, advantage. The feature explains the tool you're presenting. The benefit teaches how the feature works and why it's so effective. And acknowledgement ensures that the seller understands how the feature will help them sell their home faster for more money and accomplish their commitment to sell. Brag book. Love this. Create a brag book. Might be things that, this could be testimonials. It can be things that you've done in your life. They don't have to be real estate. Things that make you look like a human being, right? If you ever see my stuff, I've got a picture of my dog on there. Well, maybe I talk about how I did dog training with one of my dogs, or, whatever else. Anything that's going to make it, to take you from salesperson to human being. You should be doing that from the first second you meet somebody. That's why I always say, if you ask somebody for a sale, I don't care how good you are in the first minute, you're going to fail, because you didn't go from salesperson to human being. And when they first meet you, again, we're not salespeople, we're coaches and advisors, but they think of you that way. And you got to get away from that and get them to think of you as a person, as a coach, and then as an advisor. Someone they like and trust. So now a person says to you, thank you so much. I'm glad, you came, not quite ready. And you realize that maybe you didn't have your A game, whatever it was. Maybe they're just totally dedicated that they're going to hear from two people. You always hear people, I'm going to get 3 quotes. Very few people. In fact, it's only about 26% that interview more than one agent. But they are out there, and you will run into them. So what you're going to do is this. Basically, you're going to say, look, I believe that hiring an agent is the best thing for you. I feel good about our conversation, but I understand something's holding you back. Maybe you're not seeing me as a human being. And if you knew me as a person, understood a little bit more about me, you'd trust me more. So I have something. I call it my brag book. It tells you a little bit more about myself, my credentials, and a little more detail about what we've gone over today. I'm going to leave it with you. I'll pick it up in a day or two. You know what? Here's another thing, and this is a separate piece that I have for you today. It's one of my favorite tools that I hand out. If you interview any other agents, I recommend you do, make sure you ask to see their brag book. And I have another tool for you, by the way, which is going to disrupt the entire listing conversation if this happens. We'll talk about that in a minute. Other agents aren't going to have a brag book. They're never even going to heard of a brag book. This is going to do 2 things. Number one, What did I just open the door for? You're going to have to see them again. You're going to have to go back and pick up your brag book. So you're getting a second shot to close. Second thing is, if they go and have somebody else, they're going to say, hey, can I see your brag book? What's a brag book? Huh? They're not going to have one. It's going to make them look inferior to you, as are the questions I'm going to provide for you. Here's what you can put in a brag book: photos, certificates, awards, letters of recommendation, advertising, information about open houses that you've done, like maybe the advertising for that and things like that, photos of listings and sold homes, your community involvement, and even family and pet pictures. This is what the other thing I was alluding to that goes with your brag book. This is called an agent qualifier. I'm going to give this to you guys. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, just get in touch with me. I'm happy to send this to you. So if you do not get the listing and suspect the client's going to be interviewing another agent, give them an agent qualifier sheet. Tell them that when they interview other agents, it will help them determine who is the most qualified. Guys, you got to see these questions. They're just well done. One of the questions: do you carry a copy of the Realtor's Code of Ethics? Can I see it? By the way, anybody here carry it? Start doing it now if you're going to start handing these out. What this does is the questions. Remember something that I taught in Prospecting for Success. He who controls the conversation, right, wins the conversation. We talked about this in the beginning of these trainings too. Okay? They're going to, the entire time, be disrupting with questions so that other agent is never going to get into the flow. And again, when you see these questions, usually people are cracking up as they're reading these questions, because you think about it, oh my gosh, if I was in a listing conversation and people were cutting me off asking me these questions, I'd be sunk too. So use the agent qualifier if you feel like the person's going to interview other agents. After the appointment, you've gone home, you got the listing, you're out celebrating with your wife or your husband or your kids or whatever, but take a moment. Or you're home lamenting, what did I do wrong? How did that not go? Ask yourself two questions. What did I do right? Praise yourself. Even if you didn't get the listing, what did I do right? Well, I really built a really good rapport with them. I really advised them of the proper price of their house. They didn't agree with me, but I did the best that I could. Advise, whatever those things are, ask yourself what you did right. And then ask yourself, what could I have done better? When I got the listing, what did I need to do? No. Always ask yourself what you could do better. I want you to bring those questions answered to our morning grind. That's what the morning grind's for. And I want you to say, this is what I did really well. And we're all going to clap for you. This is what I could have done better. And we're going to all work together to get stronger and stronger and stronger. As I've seen agents do this over the years, I've had agents with me 10, 12 years. I've watched how what I could have done better gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So they're so minute. Yeah, the only mistake I made was, and it's something so small. Because the whole point and the whole purpose in listing conversations in all of real estate, I'm not going to make you a great agent in one day. I'm going to make you a good agent quickly, but you're going to get better over time by learning, applying. That's why this is not just this teaching class, right? If I just give you this class and you say, oh, that was good, great information today, Bill, and you don't go to the next part, which is me mentoring you, right? Okay, let's practice this. Let's work on this and get it where you're able to deliver it. And then the coaching part where you actually go out and deliver it and make it happen, and then make it better and better and better. That's what's going to make you the best of the best of the best. And that's what we're here committed to do. So again, I have 3 activities for anybody that's online. Get in touch with me and I will send these to you. The brag book, the agent qualifier, and I have a listing checklist. And I'll print those out for everybody that's here. For anybody that has any questions, just let me know. Thank you for joining us here in Step Ahead Bootcamp. We'll see you at our next one.